Are you ready to learn? I'm ready to learn. We're ready to do this. Okay, bring in some major energy here. So let's focus, figure this out. I know you haven't been able to speak to me in person for so long. It's just been dramatic and sad, but you can totally understand unit multipliers. I know some of you weren't 100% grasping it before, so let me help you. Unit multipliers are forms of one. Think about it. 60 minutes and 1 hour are the same time. So it's really like putting one number over the same number, which equals 1. And let me illustrate. When we add and subtract fractions, we get common denominators. So we have 2/3 and 3/4, right? We can't add those, everybody knows that. So we have to get a common denominator. That common denominator is 12, but in order to get there, we multiply by a form of 1. We don't think of it like that anymore because we're just like, we just do it. We've been doing it since 2nd, 3rd grade, whatever. But really what we're doing is we're multiplying by 1 to get it in a different form. So that's all we do with unit multipliers. We're multiplying by 1 in order to get it in the form that we want. So take a look at that, my beautiful work. I didn't even make it proper because I don't have time for that right now. That's not the point. The point is you multiply by 1. So we do the same thing with unit multipliers. It's really just a form of 1 that we're multiplying by. So let's jump in. This very first example, it says use 2 unit multipliers to convert 5 hours. We don't want 5 hours, we want seconds, okay? Now, I've done this multiple times. You know how when we're multiplying like 27 times 1/3, we just put it over 1 to make it easier to see, right? That's all we're doing here as well. A lot of you get confused and you try to write like something on the bottom. All we do is we're putting it over 1 just to make it a fraction. Just like we would put 7 over 1 to make it look like a fraction if we were multiplying or adding or whatever. So 5 hours over 1. We don't want minutes, we want seconds, but we have to use minutes to get to seconds. And we know there's 60 seconds, 60 hours, wow. 60 minutes in an hour, we know that. So we are multiplying. This is not cross multiplication, this is multiplying, just like you multiply by 3 over 3 or 4 over 4. We're multiplying by 60 minutes and 1 hour. Really, we're just multiplying by a form of 1 because these are the exact same times, right? If I say I'll be there in 60 minutes, I'll be there in an hour. So the only reason we're doing that is because we want to get rid of hours. Now, we don't want minutes though, we want seconds. And we all know there's 60 seconds in 1 minute. Just give me 60 seconds, man. That means just give me a minute, right? So, but we decide where to put them on top and bottom because this is also true. 1 minute and 60 seconds. We decided to put the 60 seconds on top because we want that. We want to get rid of the minutes. So if we put the minutes and hours on the bottom, we can get rid of them. And that's the whole point of unit multipliers. Unit multipliers include the units in with the math. And that's important because it's not just numbers. There's also units involved as well. So once we do this, we just multiply and multiply and we end up with 18,000. 18,000 seconds. So 5 hours is 18,000 seconds. So I bet you didn't know you wasted 18,000 seconds on Netflix. How dare you? How dare you? Just kidding, I did too. All right, so that's example 1. That's it. All you have to do is know which one goes on top and bottom and that you're multiplying, not cross multiplying, by a form of 1. Example 2 says something about Diego wanting to carpet his 16 by 9 foot room. They already told you the area was 144 feet squared. I want you to think, remember how x times x was x squared, and we just talked about that in the previous lesson. But feet times feet is feet squared, which I know I say it all the time, but think about it, that's feet times feet. That's 2 units there. So in order to get rid of it, you have to multiply by 2 units as well. And let me show you what happens. Now, they don't want to sell carpet in feet squared. They want to sell it in yards squared. So he has to change feet to yards. And you should know that there's 3 feet in a yard, right? Right. Now, I want feet on bottom to cancel it. So 1 yard is 3 feet. Is that good enough? You're right, it's not good enough because that only takes care of one of the feet. There's two up here. So we got to do it again. That gets rid of both feet. And now we're left with yards squared because they said they sold it in square yards. So 144 divided by 9, because 3 times 3 is 9. And that ends up equaling approximately, it's like 16 point something, but approximately 16 yards squared. I think it's 15 points, sorry. I should have put the actual answer here. But if you have over 15 square yards in your house, you need 16 because you can't have a little tiny section not carpeted. Does that make sense? That happened to me with my bathroom floor one time. I had to buy a whole another box of flooring because there was this one little section that wouldn't have been done. So you always have to round up if you're talking about getting materials. Moving on. How are we doing? I think this is pretty good. This is pretty good, pretty good, pretty good. This next one is volume, and volume is cubed, so that means there's 3. So you have to do it 3 times in order to undo whatever. So it says it's 100, there's like a cement truck, and they're trying to like fill in an area that's 100 feet long, 1 foot wide, and 1 foot deep. Well, volume is length times width times height, so 100 times 1 times 1 is 100, I think it's feet cubed. Feet cubed, and they want to know how many cubic yards. So we're changing feet to yards. Again, we're going the opposite direction this time. I'm going to put it over 1 just to make it look like a fraction, not because it has any, significance. There's 3 feet in a yard. There's also 1 yard is 3 feet. We want feet on bottom. 3 feet, 1 yard. Got to do it again because that only gets rid of one of them. 3 feet. That's only 2 of them. One more time. So that gets rid of all 3 feet. That also gives me yards cubed. That's what we want. So it's really good to do these because it shows you what's going on with the units, and that's part of why I love them so much. Okay, so we end up with 100 yards cubed, but you got to divide by 3 times 3 times 3, which is 27. 100 divided by 27 ends up being like 3.7 yards cubed. So he should order 4 yards of concrete or whatever it is. 4 yards cubed, right? Because you got to have more. They're not going to sell it by 0.7 yards. You might be able to do like 3.5. I don't know. I'm not a construction worker, but it's always safe to round up with materials. Okay, that's construction and stuff. And honestly, this is real life. I mean, it may not be real life all the time, but it depends how much you go into. It depends on if you have a house one day and you got to put, flooring down or whatever, or paint on the walls. Like, this is all necessary and accurate to be able to find out how many square feet you need or square yards. I think there's 2 more. Now they're kind of throwing in some extra junk in here. So don't be mad. Just be chill about it. I know some of you do not like the metric system, and that's very American of you. I appreciate that in some ways, but you got to get a little familiar. 36 kilometers per hour. Now, per hour means 1 hour, right? So I'm going to write 1 hour. We put hour on bottom because they actually gave us something that's 36 kilometers per 1 hour. This is like a ratio. It's a rate. Okay, but they don't want kilometers. They want meters, and they want minutes. So let's take care of the meters first. Remember, kilometers are super big. You have to have 1,000 meters to fit into a kilometer. Remember, kilo, 1,000? So we want meters. We're going to multiply. 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters. Don't put the 1,000 on the bottom because 1,000 kilometers is not 1 meter. We have to put kilometers on bottom to get rid of kilometers. Now we got our meters. Now we need our minutes. We have hours over here. There's 60 minutes in an hour. So think about it. 1 hour, that cancels, is 60 minutes. So then all we have to do is multiply top times top, bottom times bottom. We end up with 36,000 meters over 60 minutes. And yes, I mean, no, do not leave it like this. I canceled the 0 out just for fun. Okay, 36 divided by 6 is 6, and then there's 2 zeros left. 600 meters per 1 minute. And that's all there is to it. That means they're going a little over half a kilometer per minute. I don't know if that's fast. I mean, it seems pretty fast, but whatever. Okay, so kilometers cancels, hours cancels. And if you're like, I'm having a hard time seeing that, then multiply first. Like here, instead of doing all 3 at once, you can just do 1 at a time and get 36,000 meters an hour, and then change the minutes. I hope that makes sense if you're kind of struggling. So do 1 at a time if you're like, those 2 at a time are throwing me off. Last example. Example 5. Feeling alive. Please don't make me feel bad. Don't at me for being weird. They want 12 kilometers. Kilometers again. Kilometers per 1 liter. So this person is driving in Europe, and it shows that he's getting 12 kilometers per 1 liter of gasoline. I don't know how many miles per gallon that is because I'm used to miles per gallon, and I know what's good for miles per gallon, but not for kilometers for, you know what I'm saying. So in order to know what the equivalent is, so we can get rid of these. And they told us that 0.62 miles is 1 kilometer. And they told us that 3.78 liters is 1 gallon. So they gave us the unit multipliers. We just have to write them. So I'm going to put kilometers on bottom, right? Multiply. 1 kilometer is the same as 0.62 miles. And I put MI, so you know it's not meters. And I'm going to erase this now because I did a little too close. And then I think it was 3.78 liters. Liters needs to go on top in 1 gallon. 1 gallon. That was really ugly. Please forgive. Okay, so the kilometers cancels, bye. The liters cancels, bye. And then all we're really left with is 12 times 0.62 times 3.78. And this is a situation in which I say use your calculator. It's more important to know how to do this than to be able to multiply by decimals. At this point, just calculate it out on your calculator. And you end up with about, it's like 28.13. So we're gonna say approximately 28 miles per gallon, which is actually good. So he was getting pretty good gas mileage there. Okay, so in order to change things, sometimes they give you the 0.62 miles in a kilometer. Some of those you're not going to know off the top of your head, but a lot of them you will. So just keep your eye out before you say, I don't know this, see if they gave it to you. So if they ask in the practice set something about kilometers and miles and gallons, then look back and see these things back in the examples. So good luck out there. Do your best. I love you. I miss you. Have a good day. Bye.